All right, we're back. We're continuing to roll through your submissions to the People's Panic Meter. Coming out of week 9, let's get into some Sunday night football fallout here for our next 2 submissions, starting with David G on Kenneth Walker. Hey, guys, first off, love the show. Followed Boone here. A member of the Boone Brigade, as I always say, but really enjoy the back and forth between you two. Makes my morning commute tolerable. Yeah, I appreciate you, buddy, bringing them in here. Anyways, I'd like to preface this with I wish Kenneth Walker a long and prosperous NFL career, free of injuries. I get from a real-life football perspective why it's beneficial to have him and Charbonnet splitting the work. However, this is fantasy, not reality, and no one drafted this guy expecting a touchdown-dependent running back 3 that does not get a carry inside of the 30. He's simply not startable, full stop. Again, great that he's healthy, but I didn't spend a 4th-round pick on a bye-week fill-in who just seeded a goal line touchdown to the blocking tight end. When are we going to stuff this guy in the coping corner and be done with it? Sincerely hope I'm painting the clown makeup on later in the season for this take. First of all, let me just say, A.J. Barner is not just a blocking tight end, okay? Don't disrespect the great A.J. Barner just because you're mad at Kenneth Walker. But David, we appreciate the hell out of you, buddy. Thank you for sending this one in. But let's just be respectful to the great A.J. Barner. All right, Boone. Kenneth Walker, state of the state. Go.
We're doing it. We're putting him in the coping corner, and this is one of my biggest L's of the season. I mean, he has the talent. We know he has the talent. This run game has not been as successful as we thought it was going to be overall, so that's part of this. And I know you brought up this point last week, the idea that maybe one of the reasons that they've been using Charbonnet so much is because they're trying to keep Kenneth Walker healthy, a guy that's had injuries throughout his career. Try to keep him healthy for the stretch run, for the real life playoffs, which this team looks like a true contender. So they're going to want that back available, that guy that can, hit the home run from anywhere on the field. All of that stuff is true. And yet right now, I'm looking at a guy that hasn't reached double-digit fantasy points since week 4, hasn't scored a touchdown since week 3, hasn't been particularly effective in a month or so. And I hate, yards per carry, but averaging under 4 yards per carry for this guy is a travesty. That is brutal. He needs these big plays to elevate that. It's not happening. The run game is having some struggles, which is so weird because the passing attack has been pretty solid. And, this offense as a whole has been scoring points. This team's been winning. How they haven't been able to get this rushing attack going has been very, very strange. But I'm also frustrated by this backfield. And I know David said there, you can't start this guy. Well, I beg to differ. I have a team that's going to win my matchup by about 30 points this week. And I had Kenneth Walker in my starting lineup.
Humble brag.
Not
Let's
doing
go.
that much. Imagine if I had a legit running back there, how much I would have won by in that league. But right now, Charbonnet is the only one that's coming through in this backfield, and it's because he's the one that gets the touchdowns from time to time. So, yeah, I think Kenneth Walker has to go to the coping corner. I don't think we need to talk about him much anymore. He's more down in that RB3 range for fantasy, and it is such a shame because I think in the right environment, if they were getting all the volume in their backfield, either of these backs could be a top 12 fantasy back. And yet right now we're looking at both of them in Walker and Charbonnet as maybe top 30 guys, but more in that RB3 flex range.
All right. Look out, Boone. I'm going to throw you under the bus here because I'm going to agree with you and say we're putting him in the coping corner, but I'm worried that we're doing it at the exact wrong time. Cause I kind of feel what I'm saying here is that if this blows up in our faces, I'm 100% blaming you for it, and I'm going to take no personal accountability. That's what I mean when I say I'm throwing you under the bus. But my thing is, I think Kenneth Walker should have been in the coping corner 4 weeks ago because it feels like we've been having this circular conversation, and I do stand by what I said, whether it was on this show. I know I said it on FFL, and I definitely said it on Football 301 this past week, that I do kind of think that that the Seahawks might be setting up it's for a December to remember for Kenneth Walker. I just, for some reason, feel that in my bones. And it's not because I'm a Kenneth Walker
doing
bull.
That, would it be December to remember, or would it be January that they would hold him for? Why unleash him in December? But do they need to? Right now they have a winning record. I don't know that they need to risk it in December. Regardless, I get your point.
They might.
Your point
they
valid.
might need to beat either the Rams or the Niners to win the division. I mean, that's a competitive division. So like those December games are going to matter for this team. And I think the biggest problem for Walker, as you mentioned, is the overall rushing ecosystem is disappointing, and it's for both of these backs. They have issues at right guard. Anthony Bradford. Oh my God. I mean, it's just that there are issues with this run game overall, but that is something that could get corrected over the course of the year. So there is a part of me that worries we're putting Kenneth Walker in the coping corner at the exact wrong time, especially because, as we showed earlier, he actually did get the snaps inside the 10-yard line. He did lose the goal line carry to AJ Barner, which that's just hilarious. I don't know what to say about that. That is just outrageous. But it is what it is. Like Kenneth Walker is made for the coping corner because it's the same situation on a weekly basis, and people just keep complaining about it, even though nothing is changing and nothing will change.
Well, and he's the kind of guy, there's a ton of players we put in the coping corner where, I don't think they're going to have to come back out. And if they came back out, I would feel like I had egg all over my face. He's one that if we put him in here and he comes back out, I will be the happiest person in the world if Kenneth Walker gets to come out of the coping corner and I'm wrong about this take. But I just worry that the way that it's gone, we're going to continue to see Charbonnet involved, and I hope that this rushing attack gets going. I hope that some better matchups come up along the way where he can have those big, game-breaking plays, which we've known him to have in past seasons. But right now, from what I'm seeing, Harmon, I just have a hard time believing that that's going to change anytime soon. I don't see the variable that's going to switch in that all of a sudden, and he's going to start to produce like the player that I thought he could be before the year.
Yeah, if it changes, it would be an intangible thing like what I'm talking about, where there's no indicator that this is happening. It's just, hey, now it's time to unleash Kenneth Walker because he's our most explosive back, and I think they do know that. So, but that's not something we can forecast. Okay, week 13, that's when it's going to happen. So for now, he is a coping corner guy, and if something changes, just like it changed for Chase Brown, we can take him out. Like that's the deal with the coping corner.
Let's make sure that this clip gets out there on social media, that Kenneth Walker and everyone in the Seahawks organization sees this, and that it somehow motivates him to start producing and for them to get that rushing attack going. Fingers crossed.
Kenneth Walker, get Clint Kubiak a really good Christmas gift. Okay, get it to him early.
There you go.
Like, come on, get him a good Christmas gift early. You need
get
to
him a Thanksgiving gift. Get him anything. Yeah.
Get him a Halloween gift, little belated Halloween gift, Thanksgiving gift, whatever. Set yourself up for that December to remember. You need Kenneth Walker. Time to lock in on the holiday gift giving. Let's go, buddy. Otherwise, AJ Barner.
Maybe we should send it. We'll send it in his name from Kenneth. We'll send it though.
All right, that's a great idea. We're going to work on that behind the scenes. What is Kenneth? If you got good suggestions, let us know. What is the gift that we should give Clint Kubiak in Kenneth Walker's name? Tweet it at us. Leave it in the comments here on YouTube. Send it to the mailbag. Whatever. Let us know. We got to come together and fix this for the fantasy community. Let's stick on the Sunday Night Football game, as I mentioned here. Victor sent this in on JCM, Debo, the Commanders' offense. Entirely. What to do with Jacory/JCM/Bill, whatever you want to call him. I'm not going to say what you said because that's mean. He got a lot of offseason hype, dialed back to realistic expectation. I feel like he's not even exceeding realistic expectations with very little competition. With Jaden Daniels down as well, this offense is probably going to be worse and a huge dumpster fire. Is he just not good? Or could he turn it around late in the season? We got a lot of Commander submissions here, so I kind of think we just need to discuss this whole offense here, Boone. What's the state of the state on the Washington Commanders offense right now?
Take the whole group and put them all into the coping corner at this point, because this offense has not necessarily been good with Jaden Daniels out there. Now we're talking about Jaden Daniels being out for an extended period, maybe out for the rest of the season. And I mean, I'm going to talk about Marcus Mariota when we get to the waiver wire section. I'll spoil it right now. I'm going to talk about Marcus Mariota as somebody that you can play, especially in good matchups, a guy that can give you like 70-75% of what Jaden Daniels does, and could be potentially, a decent QB2 streamer, sometimes have QB1 weeks, but that's production. That's not overall what this offense is going to do week to week. And when you go through, like, Harmon, what am I missing here? Like, Terry McLaurin's hurt, and we haven't really seen much from him even when he has been out there this year. Deebo Samuel, 15 yards, 11 yards, 41 yards in his last 3 games. And now he doesn't have Daniels throwing to him, so that's a downgrade for him. Zach Ertz is a touchdown or bust guy, and he tends to score his touchdowns when Jaden Daniels is the one throwing to him. Now he's not going to have that either. I mean, Bill Croskey-Merritt, he hasn't scored more than 6 fantasy points in a game over a month. Like, I don't think the Lions this week are going to be the defense that he's going to do it against. Like, their run defense is very strong. Then they have a bye coming in week 12. So you factor that into like their fantasy outlook the rest of the way here. And yeah, there's going to be some games, right? Like I'm looking at the schedule, the Dolphins in week 11, the Giants in week 15, the Cowboys in week 17. We'll give some consideration to playing some of these guys potentially in those games, but they're all going to be downgraded from where we had them previously this season. And I just don't think this offense is going anywhere without Jaden Daniels, because it wasn't really going anywhere with Jaden Daniels. So to me, it's take the whole group and let them join the coping corner, which is becoming a huge group at this point.
100% co-sign everything you said there. The season's over. If Jaden Daniels is not coming back this year, and at this point, you're going to lose a few games here. He probably should not come back this year. The whole group goes in the coping corner. This is one of those offenses that we can just start to cross off. You can't completely because, look, the player pool is the player pool. But, yeah, Deebo Samuel, who was kind of the best part of this passing game with Terry McLaurin in and out of the lineup, he started to slow down, which is kind of that's Deebo Samuel. Like he's a guy who once he starts picking up injuries, the play starts to decline because he plays so physical and plays that brand of football where he gets banged up. And that's a much more exciting role, him as that move around slot guy, when you have someone who could take the top off the defense and Terry McLaurin, and you have a great quarterback. You have neither right now. So, and Bill Croskey-Merritt, I mean, I feel like we've said it. He definitely is a guy that he's just a 2-down banger back on a bad team. That's not a great fantasy bet. It's just not. And I actually disagree that he's been bad. I think when you watch him play, like you can see he can play. I think the advanced metrics show that he can play. That being good and being good in fantasy are two different things, especially at the running back position. And he doesn't really have access to goal line carries because his team's not going to score a lot of points, and he doesn't get pass down work. So, like, period, end of story on that one.
And I will warn everyone now, don't overreact when Jacory Croskey-Merritt has 100 yards against the Dolphins in week 11, because he'll probably have a good game in that one. And if anything, that would be an opportunity to trade him if you can get anything of value for him in return, maybe package him with something else. But yeah, don't overreact to that. That will not be the reality. That will be the outlier the rest of the way.
Again, coping corner doesn't mean you're never starting this guy or we're done with them or anything like that. It's just the situation is what it is, and it's not changing. There's no more reason to panic about it. There's no more reason to panic about Bill Croskey-Merritt. We've seen what it is so far. I am concerned about this next one that we're going to get to here because of the way we talked about him last week. Eric B sends this on the number one waiver wire pickup last week. Hey, Matt and Boone, I need an urgent reading on my Tyrone Tracy panic meter. I spent the rest of my fab on him like a responsible, hopeful fantasy manager, and for one brief shining moment, I believe I'd locked in a safe running back too. Now, Devin Singletary is out here getting more touches, and my safe RB2 feels about as secure as a paper umbrella in a hurricane. Be honest. Am I screwed? Should I start hydrating in preparation for eating a pen out of sheer frustration, or is there still hope? Sincerely, Eric, the Salty Tracy manager. Hey, no eating pens, all right? Don't be a dumbass and say that you are going to eat a pen. Never do that, okay? Only leave that kind of stupid stuff to me. Don't be putting yourself in that position, Eric. I do kind of think you need to totally panic about Tyrone Tracy, though. I did not see him getting out-snapped and outworked by Devin Singletary coming because it didn't happen last year.
I know. It's so shocking. It's really, really strange. And you need him. Like the idea of him taking over being an RB2 for fantasy really meant he was going to command a bigger share of this backfield, because Cam Scatterboot was 19 plus touches every week, right? So maybe it wouldn't be 19, but it'd be something close. Tracy with 8 this week. And yeah, there might be games where it's slightly higher than that, but yeah, I don't have a ton of confidence that he's going to be anywhere near that 19 number or well over 20 where Scatterboot was some weeks there. Now they get Chicago in week 10. So that's an easy matchup. But then after this, the Packers, the Lions, the Patriots, and then a bye. That is a nightmare. That is like a black hole for a fantasy running back. That month is going to be brutal in terms of his fantasy production. So you figured that Tracy would come out. He had 2 easy matchups on paper. Then we could reassess and figure out, do you want to trade him away before we get to the stretch run? Does he look like he's going to get the volume? And Jackson Dart, all this sort of stuff is going to allow him to keep producing. Now, yeah, I'm pretty worried about this one. I agree with you. It's total panic for me. He's, when I do the waiver wire column, people can go check out the column. I have in there like a recommended fab bid for guys. And when you have a player that I think is going to be like a season changer, a league winner type, it's max bid. I'm normally really aggressive on the waiver wire. I'll put 100% in there. But with a guy like this, I put 75% because there were some situations where maybe it doesn't totally work out. I had the same thing when Kamani Vidal got his role, where it just wasn't a guarantee, right? It wasn't a max bid kind of player, but it was a player that you're going to be aggressive because they have an opportunity. And sometimes that doesn't come through. And I worry that for Tracy, it's not going to happen here, that he's going to be more of that like RB3 flex kind of guy and not the RB2 that we thought he could be, because the volume just isn't necessarily going to be there for him.